Hello everyone. On my live stream, a lot of people have asked me the question of what I think of Tilted and should it go or should it stay in the game. I want to start this video by saying I'm not an Epic Games employee by any means. I cannot say for sure one way or the other if it will actually go. I just thought I would make this video on like my thoughts on Tilted Towers and whether or not I think it should be in the game or leave the game, and you all can leave your comments down below and we can have a discussion about this city. If you play Fortnite Battle Royale, you know what Tilted Towers is. It's the largest city in the game. It's a city that everyone drops at if they want to get in early fights, and it often results in a huge portion of the player base just going there and immediately dying. And overall, I think Tilted Towers is a bad thing for the health of Fortnite Battle Royale. So many players go here that it ruins the early and mid game for many other locations. Before Tilted Towers was added, there was 3 main cities in Fortnite: Retail Row, Pleasant Park, and Greasy Grove. So the players who wanted a lot of action and fights in the early game would drop at these spots. And they would generally all have a decent amount of players at them, but just whichever city was closest to the bus would generally have the most. But each of these cities would pretty much always have a large portion of players at them. And this kind of took that like large player base of people who want to get in early fights and somewhat spread them evenly out amongst the map. Whereas now all of those players pretty much probably just go to Tilted and die at the start. There's such a large portion of the player base that just immediately dies at the start of the game that it makes the rest of the game play out very slow. I would say I don't have like the numbers or by any means, but just like playing a lot of solos, I play like an absurd amount of solos. I don't play duos or squads as much, but I mostly play solos. With Tilted, everyone who wants the early action drops at this one city, and because it's by far better than the other cities for that, a huge portion of the player base is dead. I would say generally around 50 to 70% of the players are dead. Like sometimes it's generally in the 30s. There are like 30 or so players remaining when the first circle hits. It's like first spot. So that's just a huge portion of the player base dead. And since so many of them died at one spot, all that loot is there. And then all that fighting like just took place there. So like not all, like clearly not 70 players went there, but there would probably be like 30 to 40 players, maybe 20, 30, somewhere around there that go there and die. And this just sucks the life out of all the other spots. Having such a large portion of the players drop at this one spot and die at this one spot makes the early game for other spots more isolated than it should be. And it also makes the mid game for players dropping at these spots more uneventful as well, just because there's less players running around on the map than there would be otherwise. This basically just turns your choice of dropping into 2 choices. Do you want to see other players or not? If yes, you drop at Tilted. If not, drop pretty much anywhere else. Places like Retail and Pleasant will still have like a decent amount of players dropping at them. But for example, Greasy Grove, which used to be a pretty populated spot earlier on in the game, has pretty much no one that goes there now. I've dropped there pretty often in solos, and it's uncommon to see more than 3 players there, whereas before there'd probably be like 5 or 6 in a solo game dropping at Greasy Grove in any game. And more often than not, I get Greasy Grove to myself, which makes the early game really just boring. You're just walking around looting, nothing happens. And it's not my fault. Like I dropped at a city, you know, no one happened to be there. It's a ghost town more often than not. So you could just loot it the entire thing, and then you get into the mid game after you leave your initial looting spot, and there's no one else running around on the map really because everyone went Tilted and died. So this just makes the game really slow. Like Tilted increases the action and pace of the game at the start for those players who want to drop it there, but as a result of this, it slows down the pace of the game and reduces the action for the rest of the game entirely. And I think that's why Tilted Towers should be removed. I think if Tilted Towers is removed, most of the players that drop at Tilted will start dropping at Retail Row, Pleasant Park, or Greasy Grove again, more evenly spreading out that player base. This will make one of those spots like the new action spot, but it isn't nearly as much of an issue as Tilted was, because instead of that one large chunk going to one spot, it'll be more evenly distributed. Like I said before, the one which is closest to the start of the bus will likely have the most amount of people going there, but it'll still be somewhat of a more like even distribution around the map, like just geographically. It's just not all in one little spot in the center. It's more spread out, you know? And this will probably also make some of the players that are dropping at places like Retail Row, Pleasant Park, or Greasy Grove already, they might not like the increase of players that start going there, so they might start heading to like the Farm, Snobby Shores, Tomato Town, Wailing Woods, Lucky Landing, just any of these other spots. The more people will likely migrate towards them as these other cities get more people in them, and so it'll just spread out the player base so much more than it currently already is, and this will make more players left alive in like the mid to late game, because as it is, generally you drop at a spot and then one person wins that spot typically, and then they go out from that spot. It's very like sometimes people run off, but more often than not, like I said, people drop, they loot their initial building, and then they go and kill the other people in their area, and then whoever wins the spot goes into like the mid game. With spreading the players out more evenly, there will just be more people going into the mid game, and that'll make there'll be more action spread throughout the like entire game instead of just having it all jam-packed into the start for the people who choose to drop it tilted. These are just my thoughts on whether or not tilted should be removed. Like I said, I'm not an Epic Games employee. I don't know for sure. I can't make a decision on this. This is just what I think of this. If you agree with me or disagree with me, I don't really care. Leave your comments down below. I'd love to have a discussion with you. Like I've said, I've just had a lot of people ask me this on stream, and sometimes it's kind of hard to go into all of this while actually playing the game and trying to like do well in the game, you know? So I thought I'd make this video about it, just to have like all my thoughts concise in one thing and somewhat organized. So I appreciate all of you who watched this video. If you did like this video, a like rating is always appreciated. And if you'd like to see more from me, subscribe. I stream Fortnite Battle Royale every single day, typically going for wins. Usually solos, but occasionally I play duos or squads with my friends. So yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching this video.